Welcome to the Friday Game Night Pick'em Show here on AccessWDUN.com. Bo Wilson alongside Jeff Hart, Caleb Hutchins, and our producer, Seth Chapman. What's up, fellas?
It's unusual having Caleb here in the studio. I could usually just look at him on the screen.
Well, I thought you guys had too much elbow room, so I thought I'd come in here and take as much of that away as possible.
Well, this will be the last week that happened.
Oh, really?
Really?
I think I'm the one that makes that. I think I'm the one that makes that decision.
I have made a decision. Executive decision.
Normally, Caleb is headed to the house at this time, which I can't blame him.
Well, yeah.
You know,
I like that I've been here we've been on for every bit of 45 seconds, and you've already bumped your microphone like twice since we started. Yeah, since we started this.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
I mean, you can be more than a millimeter away from it, right?
Yes.
Because you're having to duck every time you move around. You're having to
This will be the last time he is in here.
Talking directly in front of the microphone.
Since he is such a stickler here, this will be the last time he's.
What is he stickling about?
Well, he's already nagging you about your microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I need it. Is that thing on? Is it on? Is it on?
Whoops.
I'm sorry about that.
No.
I mean, I just want to make sure you're not eating it. Is all I'm concerned about.
Although we do have a lunch set up outside.
Yeah, we got to hurry up.
Yeah, so food. Hey, by the way,
yes,
it's week number 11, numero 11. I don't know how to say 11. And was it once? Once. So here we are, 2 weeks left of the high school football regular season, and we have some region titles still not determined. We have some playoff spots that are still, jumping around. And we have some teams that could, like Chestatee, screw the whole thing up as far as the standings go. But they've got to win two big, massive games to do that at 8-4-8.
Right.
What interests you guys as we head in these next 2 weeks?
I would say what interests me is I love the 2-week 3-team round robin in 7-3. We've had that for 2 years in a row now. And this year, Bluff is at the Brickyard. Mm-hmm. Notoriously a tough place to play in a playoff-type environment. I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, I'm not saying I'm hoping North Hall wins or that somebody doesn't win or whatever, but that is a lot of fun when it comes down to that, and that's going to be a tremendous game. I know we're going to talk about that one here in just a minute. And can Gainesville – well, me and you crunched some numbers. I mean, we pulled out the slide. Boy, we pulled out the slide rule.
I walked back there, and the whiteboard is just covered with stuff. It looks like that scene from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. They're trying to figure out what's going to happen.
We were trying to get Gainesville into the playoffs.
We're doing everything we could. The slide rule caught fire.
Yes.
It caught fire, and that was it. We had to stop right there. Trying to see, I mean, anything can happen in that crazy region, 6, 7, 8. Gainesville's not out of it, but they're going to have an awful lot of help. But, I mean, first things first, they got to knock off Denmark, who is undefeated in the
Well, I was about to say, to be clear, I think their path is pretty clear if they win out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's that clear. That's the problem.
Well,
it can get really cloudy.
Really cloudy, real fast.
If they lose to Denmark,
it's over.
It's almost completely over. But if they win out, it's hard to see them not making it in. Well, they could not make it in if they went out, but it's hard to see it.
That's what we tried to determine. It was
we tried to determine that what would have to happen for them to get in, and the one scenario that we had was the -12 +12, right, which I believe we determined that
every
the problem
team,
we couldn't.
If Gainesville won by 12, I think everybody would be even.
Right.
And then what do? I don't know what go. It's me and Caleb. We were talking about that. It's almost like in game. With marbles, like there's one possibility.
But it also
it was crazy.
It also is determined by what happens with the North Forsyth, South Forsyth game, West Forsyth, Lambert game, because Lambert's done after this week.
Right.
So
they will be the leader in the clubhouse, as they say.
By the way,
what.
I know they're not in our coverage area, but really good season by Lambert this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there were a lot of people who, when they got off to a good start again this year, were like, but look what happened when they got into region play last year.
Yeah, they got hammered.
And it's not just that we keep saying upset. Can we stop calling Lambert wins upsets at this point? Because they keep happening. Yeah. I mean, I think they're just a good team.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. So, 8A Public is another region where you pretty much got a 3-week round robin, a 3-team round.
Got tough.
Whew. I mean, they're at home with Washington Wilkes and a stunner last week against. We both looked at that and go, "How did they lose this game?"
Dude, if you go
when you
back
look at the stats on that, it made no sense.
If you go look at the stats on that, I mean, Commerce had over 400 yards of total offense, and Social Circle around 230.
And they only had one turnover.
And they had a turnover, but that went for 58 yards for a touchdown.
Right.
The
other way.
They failed to convert, which, trying to read through the stats, they failed to convert on a drive late in the first half. That would have given them some momentum heading into the second half. So I think that might be the the two things that I could pick out of that game. But that really put them kind of
they're behind the eight
ball
because they there's a possibility. It's remote, but there's a possibility Commerce could not make the playoffs. It's very remote. A lot would have to happen. Towns County would have to rise back up, even though they beat Towns County. But the problem for Commerce is they lost last week. They have Washington Wilkes and Lincoln to finish the season. However, it's in their hands.
Which I think Lincoln,
they win both those games, they're going to be region champs.
I think Lincoln is not as good as Washington Wilkes, obviously.
I don't think so.
But watching Washington Wilkes in some video, the quarterback Cobb, I believe, is his last name.
Dalen Cobb.
Dalen Cobb, man, he looks good at what he does. He can pass, he can run, and then Tyson, the running back. I mean, he's elusive. Yeah. It doesn't take much for him to get downfield. So
that's going to be a monster showdown.
It's going to be a two-headed monster there
at Tiger Stadium this week. That's going to be a tough draw right there.
Since we're transitioning into games this week, why don't we go ahead and talk about this Cherokee Bluff-North Hall matchup?
I thought we were talking about that.
Yeah,
that was a good game.
It is a great game.
That's a great game right there.
I'll tell you what, it's going to be interesting to me for a few reasons. Number one, I think both teams are running into exactly the kind of team that is going to push them in ways they haven't been pushed this year. Cherokee Bluff's defense is going to see a real physical, strong running game that can beat you inside and out. That's something they really haven't had to deal with much this season. Meanwhile, for North Hall, what is North Hall known for? Well, they run the ball, they stop the run. They are not going to have seen a better offensive or defensive line this year, I think, than even with what they saw with Stevens County and Hart County. I think if you're just talking about the offensive and defensive lines, I think Cherokee Bluff's going to be the best North Hall has seen this year. So to me, both teams are getting, in a way, their most intriguing challenge of the season this year.
What's interesting is Bluff has to go from defending a spread offense in Dawson County last week now to the wing T. You couldn't get on opposite ends of the spectrum, just about, that's a tough turnaround for a defense. But, I talked to David Bishop, earlier this week, and, and I asked him, this is really balanced. And I said, not to bring up a sore spot, but the last really good balanced team like Cherokee Bluff was that Stevens County game. And he goes, well, you know what? That was the worst game that we played at the Brickyard in a long time. They played really well. He says, so he kind of, I'm not really going to worry about that. Balance gives you certain things you got to worry about. He goes, for us, we just do what we do, control the ball, then he likes his chances. And that's going to be, you're right, because that offensive line with North Hall, which is good, against that defensive line, that front seven, that's the game right there.
Well, I'll tell you this, for the key to this ball game, I think the key to the game is going to be, can Cherokee Bluff run the football? If I'm North Hall, I'm looking at Jaquan Smith, and I'm saying, okay, we cannot let this guy have one of those 150 and 3 touchdown games. If that happens, I don't think North Hall has a chance at winning. You have to contain him because everything Cherokee Bluff wants to do offensively is based off of that ground game out of the I formation. Even though I think we're kind of calling this a contrast in styles because North Hall's a wing T, Cherokee Bluff runs a pro style. It's a contrast of styles in how they do it, but they're going to try to do the same thing. These two teams are going to try to run the ball.
That's correct.
Well, but here's what I like about Tommy Jones and Bluff. They're going to do what it takes. If they have to go to the air, because if you look at their seasons, so we were looking at those earlier back in the office. If you look at their season stats, I think their most passing yards in the game was 281 yards passing. And then you see 70 yards and 60 yards, and then you drop down to the rushing, and you see just insane numbers from rushing. So Bluff is going to do if they can find the pass. If Sebastian Irons can go over top, they're going to do that.
Right.
They're not going to. I don't think they'll try to hang their hat on one thing or the other than Jaquan Smith, obviously.
Right.
But if they see something they can do in the passing game, we could see a heavy passing load from Cherokee Bluff on Friday.
Look, I'm going to go ahead and give a kudos to Seth. Seth called that game last week where he said the key was going to be Sebastian Ironson because he gets it. And I'm going to tell you what I saw in that game, because I was at that game last week, is that when they needed something in the air, they could go get it with Marlon Jackson running through. He was open every play. Nothing against Dawson's defense, who I thought was the most improved unit that I've run across this year, and the problems they had early in the season and how well they played defense last week against Cherokee Bluff. But Marlon Jackson, he knows how to get open, and Sebastian was hitting him consistently. I think they have something in the passing game this year that they really didn't have last year, no matter how good they were, is really consistent. They have a consistent guy they can go to, and Sebastian Irons has definitely improved. And Seth was right. That turned him being able to make some plays in the passing game, kept some drives alive to allow Jaquan to have a couple of big runs.
For North Hall, can they need to have somebody who can create a threat on the outside. That's where they've had injuries. That's where they've been dealing with some stuff. So can North Hall get some outside threat? Because Kevin Rochester is a solid running back. If they can get something outside, that'll loosen it up. I'll make the first pick here. I've waffled back and forth on this one all week. I'm taking Cherokee Bluff.
You're just a waffler. That's what you do.
Although I do prefer pancakes.
I asked Bishop about particular matchups in this game, particularly somebody to cover Jackson, and how would he use T-Lander? And he goes, it's more scheme issue. He's not worried about individual matchups. He goes, if one guy's doing something more than others, he goes, that might not necessarily be a good thing. So, I'm going to go ahead and make my pick. I also have been struggling with this because I think this is an even game. But based on what I saw last week from Cherokee Bluff, I'm going to go with the Bears. I think that their balance, run and pass, I think that will give them just enough of an edge to win this game.
I agree with all of that. I'm going Bears too.
Well, okay, so we've all struggled with this pick, obviously. I'm going to go with North Hall in this one, and the reason is the Brickyard mystique. I'm using it again, and
the Brickyard mojo.
It's real. It's very real.
No, it is very real.
So here's the thing.
There's no doubt.
North Hall's coming off their bye week. Okay, so well rested. Obviously, I don't know if I think Eighth is out. Obviously for the rest of the year, but with Rochester the way he's been performing, Purrier at quarterback, AJ Jones, you got T-Lander comes in and could possibly run the ball. But he on defense is a big X factor.
And by the way, T-Lander can play a little wing back in there too. We've seen him do that a couple times.
He can, and don't count out.
Do we want to redo our picks here now that we re-examine this?
Don't count out David Bishop and his offense throwing the ball.
Oh, I was about to say. Both of these coaches have some trick plays up their sleeves.
Look, this is for the region title for Bluff, so they're going to bring everything out. And this is to stay in the region title hunt for North Hall.
Right.
Because obviously if Dawson wins against Lumpkin, that game next week over at Tiger Stadium in Dawsonville could be for a three-way tie if Dawson beats North Hall. Now, that's going to be another interesting game to talk about as well. But we'll save that for next week. I'm going with the Trojans this week. It's at the Brickyard. I think it's going to be an epic battle in Region 7-3.
Oh, I don't think there's a question on that.
No, I don't think so.
It's going to be intense.
Yeah, it's going to be intense.
It's going to be intense in that stadium.
I'm excited to be at that game, and I tell you, I've been going back. It was a tough pick. This is the hardest pick I think I've had in like 3 or 4 weeks.
And I think this is a budding rivalry.
I do too.
As well, by the way, for down the road. Only the fourth meeting between the teams.
Right.
Okay, let's go over to the region title matchup this week. It's undefeated North Oconee at undefeated and number 1 Jefferson.
Undefeated in region.
That's
okay. Jefferson
that's what
is
I'm talking
undefeated,
about.
though.
Yes, Jefferson is undefeated. So here we are in this game. North Oconee rolling in to Memorial Stadium over in Jefferson.
Yep.
Wow. Jeff is impressed with Max Wilson Jr., the quarterback. He's a sophomore for North Oconee. We know that Jefferson has some injuries. Sammy Brown, not sure on his status. Also, Malachi Starks, who I think has been weeded in and out, but not at quarterback,
right?
Which they really haven't needed him at quarterback. So here we have this game. This is a huge matchup for the two. Defensively for Jefferson, with Malachi Starks, is he back? Is he full speed? Sammy Brown, is he back on the defensive side of the ball? This is going to be an interesting matchup.
I don't know. Sammy's either this week or next week, I think, was the projection for him possibly get back from his lower leg injury. I texted Cathcart, and I read you that text earlier in the week that, he was like, well, what do you know on North Oconee before he gave me any information?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like, what am I, industrial spy here or something? But this is
double agent.
Yeah. Yes. So I will go first on this. There's just all kinds of things in this game. This is going to be another one of those the games like the Cherokee Bluff-North Hall game. I mean, it's for all the marbles, and this is going to be a titanic battle. Yes, I was very impressed with Max Wilson from North Oconee. Other than Gunnar Stockton, best quarterback I think I've seen this year with my own eyes. He's only a sophomore, already looked very polished. He can stand back in the pocket and find a guy. He can check down. He can take off and run and get you some yards when they need it. I think the matchup in this is him, and when you look at Khalil Barnes, who's having a big game, both of those guys were out part of the early part of the season. Max Wilson missed the first 3 games. They're 6-0 with him as he's come back. Khalil Barnes has had, he's got 500 yards and 5 touchdowns receiving. He's got a couple of rushes and a touchdown. They move him around a lot.
So you're taking North Oconee?
No, I'm just giving you some for instance. I think the matchup, the key matchup is him and that passing offense against Starks, Jordan Perry, Caden Bailey, Justin Beatty, Trey Reese.
Jefferson rolls.
I think the Jefferson secondary is going to be the key here. If North Oconee can find a way to get if they can get an early score, I think if they win the toss, I think they take the ball, try to see if they can get a quick score, and then play from ahead like they did with Flowery Branch. But it's just hard for me to pick against the Jefferson ground game because there's nobody in 8-4A that does what they're doing, and North Oconee has made mincemeat of pretty much everybody else. But Jefferson's ground game, with or without Malachi Starks, with or without...
Well, you've got a healthy Jordan Perry back.
I know, but even without Sammy Brown, they're
Bailey.
chewing up 300-plus yards a game because they got so many guys. No one's been able to stop Jefferson yet. I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to take the Dragons. I think this is going to be a much closer game than people expect.
I'm taking Jefferson.
I'll take Jefferson as well. I think, of course, to echo Jeff, I think what's going to have to happen is the North Oconee is going to have to come out and play shock factor. If they're going to have like a real shot in this game, they're going to have to come out, score early, hit them in the mouth, but the problem after that will be keeping that Jefferson team down, which no one has managed to do. Right. So I'm definitely sticking with the Dragons.
You already said it. I think.
When you were setting up everything for the last 20 minutes, I just said Jefferson rolls.
He could set something up for 20 minutes and you listen, but I set something up to hurry
up. No, I listened to everything
along.
you said.
Right. But you want to speed me
I had
along.
already kind of read over some stuff, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you peeking onto those are my personal notes.
No, I was not
me.
reading. I had already looked up some stuff earlier this week. So, okay, let's
this
go to
This is why you're winning because you have cheated off of my notes.
Oh, yeah,
That's
By the way, we
is.
all finished 12-3 last week, okay?
That's right.
So nobody gained anything on anyone. All right, the rundown picks. You ready for this? Here we go. Let's start at the top of the list. Buford at Winder Barrow.
Buford hasn't been scored on in 4 weeks. I don't know if Winder will score or not, but they're not going to win. Buford's going to win big.
Buford, I'll take Buford as well.
Buford. Chestatee at Flowery Branch.
Could be an interesting one, but Flowery Branch's defense is too tough. Ever since that game against Gainesville, which is looking more and more like an outlier the longer this season goes on with Flowery Branch has looked like defensively in every other game.
Yep.
That defense, I think, will be the difference. I think Flowery Branch wins.
Totally agree. I'm going to go with the Falcons.
Want a tip of the hat, and glad he's doing well, Coach Sean Connolly.
Absolutely.
By the way,
hopefully Coach Connolly gets better soon.
Talked to him earlier this week.
You said he was not coaching on the.
He's not coaching
on the golf cart.
On a golf cart, no, but he is doing well. By the way,
right?
Good.
So I'm going to go with Flowery Branch in this one. Clark Central. Why am I saying Clark Central? Let me take that one out.
Because you threw it off because you didn't let me pick yet.
We'll get to Johnson in a minute.
Johnson at West Hall.
Denmark at Gainesville.
I picked Flowery Branch too, by the way.
Oh, did we not go to you?
I thought you threw it out there. Sorry.
So you're saying you're going with Chastity.
You can't hear me as well.
You're going with Chastity or Flowery Branch?
I'm not going to repeat myself.
Okay.
I'm picking Denmark.
I'm picking Denmark.
Denmark.
I have to make it a clean sweep. I hate to not take the Red Elephants, but there's something missing right now. I don't know what it is, and Denmark's undefeated in region play.
By the way, if Gainesville loses, they miss out on the playoffs.
For the first time in 21 years.
1999. Yeah.
That's a tough streak
to
see go.
One. East Forsyth, is this their first road trip of the year? They're at Southeast Whitfield.
It feels like it. I tell you what, I'm going to take the Broncos here. Might be considered a little bit of an upset, but I tell you what, that does not look like a first-year team when you watch them play. That is a respectable East Forsyth football team.
Yeah, it is. But I'm going to go with Southeast Whitfield on that one.
I'm going to go with East Forsyth.
I'm going to go with East Forsyth too. Southeast Whitfield is 1-8 in a non-region schedule.
Okay. East Jackson at Hart County.
So hold on a second. Now, who did everybody take in that last one?
We all took East Forsyth except for Bo.
Oh.
I'll give a game up to you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because you could stand to lose one, right?
Not really, because me and Caleb will be tied as it stands right now. Actually, if North Hall wins, then I might gain. Anyway, East Jackson at Hart County.
Hart County, a little bit too much. By the way, East Jackson has made some real improvements this year, but Hart County, I think, too much this week.
Yeah, Hart County.
Hart County has just an insane ground game. East Jackson has got a front seven that is formidable, but I just don't know if they're going to be able to muster enough offense. But love what Cameron Pettis is doing over there at East Jackson.
Everybody pick Hart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Gilmer at White County.
White County.
White County.
White County.
Warriors.
Okay.
Greenbrier at Jackson County.
I'm going to take Jackson County because they have to. This is a must-win for them this week. They could be out of the playoffs depending on how a couple other things go if they lose this game.
Agreed.
Man, what a game last week
on
for
the
them.
on the nose.
You're taking Jackson
complete.
County?
Yeah.
I will take the Panthers.
I'm going to go with Greenbrier. In my effort to help Jackson County, every time I have picked them, they have lost. So I am going to do everything I can to help them. So I'm going to pick Greenbrier this week.
Johnson at West Hall in the Battle of Oakwood.
West Hall looked like they finally got a little traction last week. They lose on a late touchdown. I think, for all their struggles, I still think they are better than this Johnson team right now. And I think they will win this one comfortably.
Same. West
I
Hall.
agree.
Once again, it took me a second or two to understand what you meant by boo. I was like,
Battle
what?
of Oakwood.
And I got it, and then I laughed.
It kind of fits. It's Halloween weekend,
I'm gonna take West Hall as well.
Boo. Lakeview at St. Francis.
I'm going to go with Lakeview.
Really?
I am. I'm going to take Lakeview.
I'm going to go with St. Francis. That team is a lot better than last year. I think they're 3-5. I'm going to take St. Francis. I think Lakeview is just the rebuild has just been a little tougher than we thought it was going to be.
Let's see. Lumpkin beat St. Francis, right?
They did.
Okay.
I take St. Francis.
Who are you taking, Seth?
This is a tough one for me.
I can't hear the word Francis without thinking of Deadpool. I'm sorry. It happens every time St. Francis comes up in conversation.
Yeah.
So I will go with. This is a tough one. I will go with St. Francis. Lumpkin County at Dawson County.
I think Dawson wins big in this one. Their defense played really well at Cherokee Bluff last week, and I don't know that Lumpkin has the kind of secondary that Cherokee Bluff did to slow down Zach Holtzclaw and Bailey Damrun. So I think Dawson County wins big.
Dawson as well.
I'm going to take Dawson.
I'll take Dawson as well. Madison County at East Hall. I'm going Madison.
I will also go with Madison County.
I'm going to go with Madison.
Clean sweep.
North Forsyth at South Forsyth.
South Forsyth may be coming on a little bit of a hangover after that loss to Denmark for the region title last week. But this is a series that South Forsyth has historically dominated for most of the time. And remember, last year this was expected to be a close game, and South Forsyth won in an absolute rout. This year it's in Cold Mountain. I'm right about that, right?
No.
No, I'm not? No. All right, you guys go. Let's go. I'm going to sit it out. I'm going to take a breather.
Oh, no, you're out there on that limb, buddy.
2 minutes in the box.
Let's go. No. He's out there.
I will start. North Forsyth down at South Forsyth. This one, North Forsyth must win this game. There's no doubt because, what's going to happen next week against Gainesville, I have no clue. But North Forsyth, South Forsyth, they absolutely hate each other. And it is true that South Forsyth owns this series. North has to find their offense somewhere, somehow. They lost to close.
Have they looked in all the lockers?
Yeah, they lost a close one to Denmark. Couple turnovers led to touchdowns for Denmark. They lost a close one to Lambert. I'm going with the Raiders in this one to, let's call it the upset of South Forsyth.
I'm going to go and agree with Bo. This is a must-win. They have the defense that can slow down South Forsyth. Gainesville held South Forsyth to 17 points. I think North Forsyth has a much better defense than Gainesville. I think in an upset, I'm going to take the Raiders.
I'm taking North Forsyth, too. This is going to be a low-scoring football game, and if it's not a low-scoring football game, then North Forsyth's in real trouble.
Oh, yes. I agree.
Simply for outlier's sake, I'm going to take South Forsyth.
You're going to take who?
South.
Okay.
Can Rabun County win their 8th straight region championship against Union County?
Yes. Yes, they can.
Yes.
Going on to Elbert and Riverside, I'm taking Elbert County.
Same.
Elbert.
Okay, here's an interesting one. Towns County at Social Circle.
Social Circle.
Yeah, I have to go with Social
Towns
Circle.
County is struggling defensively right now a lot.
Social Circle.
Yeah, I was really on the Towns County bandwagon. I still am. But
you're stepping off for this week?
I'm stepping off this week. Particularly when Social Circle knocked off Commerce last week. I mean, that was a shock.
Oh, yeah.
But they could have the letdown.
Never know. Unity Christian at Lanier Christian Academy.
Wow, this is an interesting matchup.
I have no clue about Unity Christian.
Okay, well, I tell you what, then let me give you...
You set it up for us.
I will set this up for you real quick.
Yeah, quickly.
So, 5-2 Unity. Lanier Christian is 6-2. Lanier is third in scoring in gaps. They have the number one defense. The Lions, Unity, are 8th in offense, and they've given up the 9th most point in the gaps 8-man.
I'm going to go with LCA in this one.
I am too. However, when they played really good teams, they seemed to struggle. Those are their 2 losses. So I'm going to go with Lanier Christian, but I think this is going to be a close game, and it's not going to be nearly as high scoring as we think it's going to be.
I'll take LCA also.
LCA's for me too.
And finally, Washington Wilkes at Commerce. Now, we kind of set this one up in the beginning. I'm going to have to go with Washington Wilkes in this one.
Yeah, me too.
Same.
I tell you what, I'm going to go the outlier this time. I think Commerce has everything right in front of them still. I think they might be a little mad after what happened at Social Circle. We looked at that game. We still couldn't figure out exactly how they lost that game. And Washington Wilkes is really, really, really good, but Commerce is getting them at home. I'm gonna take the Tigers in an upset.
And there you have it, folks, our picks for week number 11. All right, guys, as we do normally to end the show, what do you hope to see in week 11?
Can't wait to watch the North Hall Cherokee Bluff match. As I said, this is going to be a good ball game. It's also going to be an outstanding atmosphere at the Brickyard.
I agree. I can't wait to go. I'm going to be covering that one. I cannot wait to get over there. I also, hopefully I can pull up the NFHS and watch Jefferson-North Oconee if I possibly can, because that's going to be a great one.
There's several good ball games this week, but Bo is now in the I think we're all going to be at North Hall with the exception of maybe Seth. I'm not sure.
We got to discuss that.
So
we got to figure that out.
Bo is now in the advantageous position of if North Hall wins, you're the only one who's picked North Hall, so you're the only one David Bishop will be coming to pat on the back when he comes up to the press box after the game.
Yeah, sure. He big pat on the back. But I'm excited to get to call that game. That's on FM 102.9.
If they win, I'm out. If they win, I'm bouncing.
I thought you were already banned from North Hall.
Probably. I graduated and got out of there, and they're like, that guy, he can't come back here.
Wow.
Keep it away.
Oh.
All right, so on 550, we have the Battle of Oakwood with Johnson, West Hall, and, of course, Tim Mark at Gainesville on the lake. I'm really looking forward to seeing that Bluff North Hall game, and hopefully it lives up to what we think it's going to live up to.
Oh, I think it most certainly will.
Okay, guys, that's a wrap. I have enjoyed this show as usual and look forward to seeing what unfolds on Friday night. Check Caleb out on the Twitter, Hutch9473. Jeff is at Hart JJ22. I am at the Bo Wilson, and Seth manages our Instagram accounts. That's Access WDUN Sports. For everyone here, enjoy week number 11 of high school football. Go Braves.